Fortnite Chapter 3 is finally here, and there are a ton of crazy secrets that most of you probably don't know. If you want to get your first win and dominate in Chapter 3, here's 20 tips you need to know. Starting off the game with a llama is an easy way to get a bunch of mats and extra heals that you need to win the game. But in Chapter 3, there's actually a guaranteed llama spawn on the map. There is a Battle Pass skin that is a big llama, and he has a small hut at the bottom left of Log Jam, and if you land there, there is a 100% spawn for a llama every single game. They drop exotic chug splashes, of course, the materials, and sometimes they drop extra minis and big pots and normal splashes. A lot of people don't know about this, but it's probably going to be pretty contested very soon. Definitely go check it out, and I feel like this is going to be a very, very hot drop for competitive players as well. Moving over to tip number 2, there is a way to start the game with a guaranteed supply drop. Back in Season 3 of Chapter 2, there was a secret boat that would spawn on the outskirts of the map randomly every single game. It had a supply drop and some, henchman chests. It had fruit baskets and all kinds of extra loot on the ship. And now it is back, and it does still have the supply drop, and it has the new 7 chests and some extra chests as well as the fruit baskets. If you want to find this ship, you kind of have to be looking as you're coming out of the battle bus, because it can literally spawn anywhere on the edge of the map. It could be on the north side, west, east, south, but it's usually in the water somewhere on the outskirts. And if you find it and you land there, you can pretty much get guaranteed top tier loot to start off the game. So most people know that the MK7 is easily the best weapon and assault rifle to ever come to Fortnite, and it's probably the best weapon in Chapter 3 so far. The shotguns aren't as good as the assault rifles, obviously, so they're very good for spraying and taking those long-range fights. The red dot actually has no bloom. It's built on recoil and controlling the recoil. This is one of the first of its kind in Fortnite, because most assault rifles and actually everything in Fortnite is kind of bloom related when it comes to spraying assault rifles, but this one is recoil controlled when you're ADSing. The thing is, the mythic MK7, the one that the foundation drops, has almost no recoil. It's so minimal. He does have a lot of HP. You can find the foundation moving around the sanctuary, and he does have a lot of health, but I'm going to give you another tip later in this video on how to take him out very quickly. He ends up throwing these huge rocks at you. Definitely build and block off, because I've seen some top players get eliminated by him. You don't want to be that guy, but his mythic MK7 is definitely worth going after. So there's a new med spray item. You get 150 health when you're using it, and you can kind of spray the health onto yourself or onto allies, and you end up using the spray until it runs out. This is actually a very cool item and very unique, so shout out to Epic for coming up with this one. And I feel like a lot of people don't realize this. This is the first healing item that you can use while running and while sliding and moving around. Obviously, splashes, you kind of throw them, so you can use splashes while you're running. But this one can actually be activated while you're running, while you're sliding. So you can be moving throughout a build fight or a box fight and start healing yourself without having to stay put, which can keep you very mobile. This is honestly better than carrying medkits, and I see this being the primary healing item to be used in competitive play, especially because of how convenient it is and how quick it is. So you might have noticed that while you are knocked, you actually move around a lot faster. This can allow you to reposition and kind of hide and prevent yourself from getting thirsted, but you might have not realized that you can now drop items, ammo, weapons, all kinds of things from your inventory while you're knocked. So if you're knocked in a box with your teammate and he doesn't have any shields and he's being, pressed and shot at, you can actually drop him some shields or drop him some extra ammo or materials so that he can fend off opponents until he's able to res you safely. So rebooting is actually a little bit slower, but it is faster if you have multiple people trying to reboot you. This also works with revives as well. The more people that are reviving you at the same time, the faster you'll get up, and it can speed it up 2 to 3 times faster. And once you reboot now, you actually rift above the reboot and you can land a little bit safer if you need to. You do have to be careful not to get sprayed out of the sky, but you still have a few seconds of immunity after you get rebooted, so you don't have to worry too much. So Epic added tents to the game that you can actually store items and take those items out in future matches. This is pretty cool if you want to store some extra loot that you got off of an opponent. But one way we've been utilizing this is storing the mythic MK7. Usually there's only one mythic on the map at a time, but now that you can store mythics from match to match, you can actually have multiple of the same mythics in the same game. You can also heal inside the tents. So if you want to save your medkits or healing mist, you can actually heal for 5 health per second while you are inside the tent. This does not work in the storm since the tents will break in the storm. Another tip with the tent is they do not get destroyed by fall damage. So you can actually get up on a sky base and then place a tent, jump on top of it, and it will break your fall. So you might have noticed there are some new cooler chests around the map, specifically in the desert biome. There's a lot of them. They look like little coolers you find at picnics, and they actually drop chug splashes and guzzle juice. They're kind of easy to miss, but now that you know to look out for them, if you need some extra healing, definitely break these and you'll get some free healing. So remember that NPC that has the guaranteed llama that spawns at its location? Well, he also sells the exotic boom sniper. This is the first time we've seen this in a while, so definitely go check it out. A lot of the exotics are actually still in the game. The double barrel. We actually also got a return of the hop rock dualies. Some of the NPCs around the map are still selling exotics, so don't be surprised if you see them in the game. And honestly, with how weak the current shotguns are, I might have to start going for the exotic double barrel shotgun and start to utilize that, because people are not going to be expecting a shotgun that actually does damage in chapter 3. So a lot of people love the quad crashers, and they are finally back in chapter 3, but it's pretty hard to get air with them compared to what we used to be able to do with these things. Back in the day, we were flying across from one point of the map to the other with these bad boys, but they have been severely nerfed, and people are wondering what the best way to catch some air with them is. Using the forward or backward mechanic when you're boosting will actually end up bringing you faster to the ground. So if you actually want to get some serious airtime with the quad crasher, build a few ramps and boost at the top of the ramp. But when you boost, do not try to bring your wheels up or down. Just keep them straight. Do not touch the W or S if you're on mouse and keyboard. And if you're on controller, keep your analog stick straight. Do not try to move it up or down. And that's going to guarantee you the most airtime and probably travel the most distance on that boost. So a lot of NPCs from chapters 2 are back and still in chapter 3. And a lot of them sell disguises. You can actually turn into a prop. Most people do not use these, but it's really an easy way to catch people off guard. Every time I've used a disguise prop, I've always gotten the jump on somebody. So definitely try to use them. I feel like Epic has buffed the gold rate this season compared to last season. I find myself acquiring a lot more gold. So talk to these NPCs. They could potentially give you a rift or a prop disguise that you can use in your favor. Also, for some reason, Tip the Bus Driver for 4,000 gold is still here. It's still in the game, and it does absolutely nothing. So just do not be a sucker and do not tip the bus driver 4,000 gold. He does not deserve all that extra gold. So if you notice in this chapter, there are some huge trees that when you break them, they actually break off and can knock down other trees, and they create this huge kind of log that you can continue to farm. Well, there's a few tips with this log. What you might have not known is that this log will do 100 damage to anybody that it lands on. So if you notice somebody is boxed up near one of these trees, you can actually position yourself to shoot that tree, that it falls on their box. It will break their box and do 100 damage instantly. So sliding is in the game, and you might think that sliding on a flat surface makes you go faster. It does not. The only time you're actually going faster while sliding is if you're sliding downhill. Using sliding on flat surface can make your hitbox appear smaller to your opponent and make it harder for them to hit you. Sliding around corners and to slide into somebody's box might be a good way to open up a fight. I'm actually planning to make an entire educational video about how to utilize sliding in your gameplay, and I'm going to go into much greater detail once I feel more comfortable with the sliding mechanic, because it is something that is very different and a little bit harder to master. So the Foundation is the secret battle pass skin of this chapter, but you can actually use him early by using the Mystique skin from chapter 2 season 4 and transforming into the Foundation. This is at least until he's actually available for us to use. Tilted Towers is actually in this chapter, and it's on the map right now if you want to go take a look. It is frozen in the center of the map where Tilted usually is, and it's melting. By week 8, we're actually going to be able to land at Tilted Towers because we know that there is some week 8 challenges to land at Tilted. There's also some sort of dinosaur looking thing from the trailer that's frozen underneath the map and under the snow. And we can see him actually breathing under the snow. So he's alive and well. So expect that dinosaur to be released around the same time as Tilted Towers. So vaults have returned to the map, and I'm a really big fan of the vaults. These are not as powerful, but they're a lot easier to open. They have 3 to 4 of the 7 chests, and they drop a decent amount of loot. Some vaults have rifts in them as well, like the vault to the south of Condo Canyon. And if you're solo and you want to open one of these vaults, they do require at least 2 people if you're in a solo match or duo match, and 3 people if you're in a trio, and I guess 4 in the squad. I'm not 100% sure on that. But if you're solo and you want to open a vault, you can actually do this by knocking one of the henchmen and bringing them to the vault. It will count as 2 players, and the vault will open for you to obtain that loot. So you can open those vaults with NPCs, and you can also open them with chickens. If you bring a chicken down to the vault, it will open the vaults. So Spider-Man's Mythic Web Slingers was only an arena on the beginning of the chapter, but this is now fixed. It was obviously an accident. It was purchasable with 400 gold, which seems too hard to get in arena, but if you land at Cuddle Camp and you break all the beds and couches, you can easily get 200 to 300 gold, and then head over to Greasy and get another 100 to 200 by breaking beds and couches. And then you'll be able to use the Mythic Web Slingers in an actual arena match for some insane mobility, and these look ridiculously good. It's almost like an actual Spider-Man game in Fortnite. I hope you guys have been enjoying Chapter 3. Be sure to check out metalumbrella.com, my apparel brand, and don't forget to subscribe because there's going to be a lot more videos coming your way.